Hey, what's going on, man? This is Will Z to Will with Skybox Conversations and the Hoop Pod. We'll talk about all things hoops, but more in particular about my favorite team in the Los Angeles Lakers. And on the college level, man, the Arkansas Razorbacks against that's home. And I'm always gonna represent them, man. We'll pick Suey. And it's actually what this episode is about, man, because this past weekend, man, my Razorbacks took on the Alabama Tide, man, the number 3 team in the nation, who is probably going to be the number 1 team in the nation now. This upcoming week in the polls after Auburn takes a loss, a surprising loss, ass whooping really, to a very good Florida team, and it just shows you how much of a bloodbath the SEC really is because man, everybody's beating up on everybody. It's like 4 teams that all are 7-3, and they only lost to each other, right? Florida, lose to Tennessee. Tennessee beat Florida. Like it's just so much. Texas A&M is right in the mix. Um, Man, my Hogs are right near the bottom. We we two we two we, we 2 teams from being dead last in the SEC. At 3-7. Um, Only worse than the team actually getting ready to play this upcoming week, LSU and South Carolina, which is weird because just a year ago when Michi Johnson was there, they were so good, and the coach there can coach. It just shows you how brutal the SEC is and how much man talent matters, man, and the right roster and cohesiveness it matters, and that's shown even on this Razorback team because we just haven't been able quite to at sometimes figure out our identity, right? And we get away from it at times. And sometimes we just don't have enough. But I want to go ahead and answer the big question. How did Arkansas fall short against Alabama, man? Because even though they at one point they started really getting their ass kicked, they did make a late rally and try to get back in the game and actually got back in the game and had a chance to win the game. But Grant Nelson, man, ultimately kind of ended that when he got that offensive putback on Trevor Brazil, which he put through the net, man. Oh no, off the arrow. And he put it back and it kind of gave him a 4-point cushion. And we never kind of recover from that moment. And I think it was a couple things because if you watch the beginning of the game, yeah, you can say the refs had played a big part in the game. Yeah, true. You know what I'm saying? But we were hanging with them. And then there was this moment where they just exploded. And that was something I said in the pregame video that I made the night before the game, or early that morning rather, where I talked about how you have to be careful with this Alabama offense because it's so explosive and it's in NBA style offense they run. They want to get shots up in the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. They want to run you. They want to swing, move the ball, and shoot a lot of threes. And if you're not careful, it can go from being down 4 points to being down 20 points. And that's essentially what happened to the Hogs. And they clawed and fought their way back into the game and went on like a 20-4 run, 20-8 run. It was a nice, impressive thing that the Hog thing, maybe 23-8. It was a crazy run to make it like a 2-point game, 3-point game at one point with only a couple minutes left, but essentially just couldn't get over the hump. And like I said, when we were right there, within striking distance, Grant Nelson kind of put the nail in the coffin, so to speak, with the putback. And I said something interesting in the pregame video as well, where I talked about you can't let both Nelson and Sears, do damage. And Nelson had a pretty good game. I think he had like maybe 15, and he had maybe like 15. Let's look at it together real quick. 'Cause I can't. I looked at it earlier, but I can't quite remember. Let me see. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, Grant Nelson had 15 and 4 and 3. Sears only had 11, 3 and 3. But see, it was such an even attack. I mean, look at that. Youngblood had 15. Dibiate had 14. So that's the bulk of the scoring right there. Grant Nelson 15, Youngblood 15, Dibiate 14, Mark Sears 11. Aiden Holloway gave you 8. So that was just a very even attack versus you kind of look at on the other side, beside Big Z and Thiero and Janelle Davis, nobody even was in double figures. Big Z, had a career high and it was an impressive game, but it was also one of them things it felt like to me where it's like if Big Z killing you, we'll live with it. Just don't let anybody else do anything. And that's kind of what they seem to hang the hat on key in the end on dudes like DJ Wagner. And it made kind of things difficult for Janelle Davis. He had a pretty good game, but nothing just crazy. But yeah, I think ultimately it was just the firepower of that offense that Alabama has, man. It can just get up on you in a minute. And if you're not, and I think we just couldn't sustain enough to stay with them, right? In the beginning, we were with them and we're hanging around. And then when they start hitting threes and getting out running and they were getting back to back stops, we couldn't string along and do the same. And if you can't match that tempo, man, you'll look up and it is a 20-point game. And I think essentially that's what happened. And then we made a late surge, but it was just a little too late, and we just did ourselves in too much of a hole. I think that's essentially what led to the defeat, man. But it would have been great to get that win. It shows us that we can play with anybody. You just can't have those long stretches where you struggle like that, like Arkansas did. I think it was at one point it was like 5, 6, 7 minutes we just didn't score, and that's tough when you're playing against a team like Alabama, man. That's tough. Um, is this week a must-win game for Arkansas? Like I said, we got LSU, and it's funny because LSU has only won one conference game thus far, and they've been on a 6-game losing streak since. And guess who that one win they got 6 games ago? Well, guess who was it against? Arkansas. In their house, they got the best of us. A game we definitely should have won. This is back when Boogie was still playing. Um, I definitely think this is a game is a must win. It's kind of like your last. If you don't win this one, you probably don't get into the tournament. Probably make yourself an NIT team, and that sucks because again, that just shows you how tough the SEC is because it's already so deep that you only can take so many of them. And if you're towards the bottom of that, if you Vanderbilt got a better record than you, come on, and so that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough. But this is a must-win game, and it's a winnable game. That's the thing. If we go in and play with the right mindset, we can beat LSU. We should be able to beat LSU. It's just a matter of what team shows up and how are they looking. And this kind of leads you to that next question. In order for them to win, what players will have to step up and have a big game? I wrote down some key people. Man, you need more from a dude. What is going on with a dude, man? He is just like a cone out there, as of late. You know what I mean? And it's just hard to watch because it's like you were pretty damn good at Tennessee, man. And in this game, you only played 7 minutes. 7 minutes and got one rebound because you was a fucking cone out there. You need more from Brazil. 6 points, 18 minutes. I don't know if it's so much the system, if it's his confidence, if Calipari just doesn't trust him for something he's not doing. I don't know exactly what, but man, you gotta find a way to get back to who you were when Muss was there. The way Muss used to use Brazil was profound, making him a stretch big, let him play above the rim, calling a lot of sets for him again to get easy buckets around the rim. He was knocking down that straight ahead 3-point jumper. Like he was doing those things at a high clip, and it's like they've gotten away from that. You need Brazil. You need Brazil to have big moments. Carter Knox, I mean, I get you out there for energy and defense and all of that, bro. But if you're gonna play 30 minutes and 0 points and only 3 rebounds and 1 assist. I need more. I need more. And last but not least, you need more from DJ Wagner. 8 points in 35 minutes. You had 9 assists. All right. So you were distributing the ball well. And you don't turn the ball over a lot. But you need more of a scoring output from somebody like that if they're starting point guard because he is a dual threat that can do both. And I think they intentionally said, let's make him a passer and not let him be a scorer that gets to wherever he wants to get to, like he was doing against, who was at Kentucky, and who was it they just beat this past week? He gave Texas that business too, getting wherever he wanted to get to, right? So you could tell they planned for that, and they said we're gonna make somebody else beat us, which is why Big Z had damn near 30, right? Diero had to go back into superhero ball like he did earlier in the season, which always seemed to lead to losses, right? So yeah, those 4 people, man, really stick out to me as people that need to step up and help around the margins, man. We need that. We need that. You need Jonell Davis to keep figuring it out, of course. You think BZ didn't stretch the floor and knock down some shots. His usage rate shouldn't be that high though, in my opinion, because if that happening, something else isn't happening. So that's me. Next question: what happens if Arkansas loses? Um, I mean, I think like their NCAA hopes are very, 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 very thin at that point. And Cal's first season will have been disappointing, unless they just somehow, some way. win the next 6 after that and go 9-8, which I think is very, can get you in the tournament. But I mean, that's tough. I mean, because look at who their next 6 games are against. Let's see who they playing next. Let's look at that again. Who do they play in these next 6 games after they play LSU? Let's see how many of those they can win. So you got LSU, that should be 1. Texas A&M, that's going to be very tough. That's going to be very tough at Texas A&M. Then you got Auburn. Whew. That's possibly 1 and 2 right there. You can beat Missouri. They're number 15 in the country. That mean they're really good, and they are really good, and they got a lot of talent. But that's winnable. So I'll say 2 and 2. Then you got Texas. You can beat them again, but they probably gonna come back with a vengeance. But you can beat them. So I say we can go 4 and 2. Then you got South Carolina. They stink. You should go 5 and 2 right there, right? So I'm sorry, you go not 5 and 2. You go 1 and 0. 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 2, 3 and 2, 4 and 2. Vanderbilt, pretty solid, well coached team. New dude came in, has really set the tone when Jerry Stackhouse struggled there. 5 and 2, 6 and 2. Mississippi State, 6 and 2, 5 and 3. Does 8 and 9 get you in the tournament? I have seen some things where it says because the SEC is so brutal, there is a chance where a team could potentially get in the league in the NCAA tournament with that type of record. Now how possible it is, I don't know, but it's possible. But if he lose this game, it starts off very bad, because if you lose an LSU that's only won 1 game, you're not gonna beat the fucking Texas A&Ms, the Missouris, the Mississippi States, and all of those different teams that you need wins against. So I would be very worried, very much so, very much so. And last but not least, can Arkansas save their season? I think the most frustrating thing with this team is the potential is there. If you look at the roster, you would say Cal is pretty damn good at recruiting. But then when you look at the team as a whole, again, I just kind of said some of the key things. People are underperforming. People you thought were going to come in and do certain things have not been able to do those things. Again, SEC is brutal. Everybody is fighting, chipping away, trying to get wins. And you never know what version of that team is going to show up night to night. If it's the one that came up and beat Rupp in Rupp, then we got a great chance to beat anybody to save our season. But if it's the one that goes out there and loses to LSU in LSU, it's like, it's that type of thing. And so I don't know. I think it's very possible. I think we can definitely win. Where's Georgia on this list when it comes to the standings? Is Georgia better than us? They won another game? Wow. Texas has a better record than us too? That's just, man, the SEC is crazy. We beat both of them and they still got a better record than us. Like, come on, bro. That's crazy. But yeah, man, I just wanted to come in and kind of give that shindig before we play LSU this upcoming week. Much needed win. I'm kind of proud of the guys because they didn't just roll over and die when it comes to playing against Alabama this week, because they were down 20 at one point, 20 plus, and only end up losing by a couple buckets. So it shows the effort, but we just need to don't dig yourself such a deep hole. You have to do all of that, if that makes sense. And I think we'll be fine, man. But let's see, man. We'll pick Zoe. Shit. Let's get to it, man. I'm excited to see what we can do this week, man. Let's go. Love y'all, man. Peace.